The 2025 Formula One season has finally officially begun with the first qualifying session at the Albert Park circuit in Melbourne, Australia. After a 3-month break from racing, fans are eagerly anticipating the return to the track. However, the results of this qualifying session came as a big surprise, especially for the Ferrari team, who performed below expectations with results far from what was expected. What really happened, and what are their chances of bouncing back in the main race? Let's discuss. The Australian Grand Prix offered several surprises in qualifying, especially from the teams that performed above expectations. McLaren looked so dominant as they managed to hold on to the top position with their 2 main drivers. This success is proof that the Woking-based team has been preparing a very competitive car since the start of the season, showing a balance between speed, aerodynamics, and mature strategy. With this achievement, McLaren has sent a strong message to its rivals that it is ready to fight for podiums and victories throughout the season. Not only did McLaren steal the show, but Williams was also impressive with a much better performance than in previous seasons. For the first time in a decade, both Williams drivers made it to Q3, a remarkable achievement for a team that has often struggled at the bottom of the standings in recent years. This result reflects the significant progress they have made thanks to the development of a more competitive car and the right strategy to face the challenges on track. The extraordinary performances of McLaren and Williams in qualifying in Australia proved that this season will be full of surprises. The competition at the top is getting tighter, while teams previously thought to be less competitive are starting to show their potential to put up a fierce fight. As a result, Formula One fans will be even more excited to watch the race and see how each team's strategy will play a role in determining the final result at the Albert Park circuit. Unlike their main rivals such as McLaren and Williams, Ferrari faced a big challenge throughout this qualifying session. The Maranello-based team failed to deliver their best performance, with their 2 drivers, Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc, only able to secure 7th and 8th positions on the grid. This result is certainly very disappointing, especially considering the high ambitions they have had since the beginning of the season. Prior to the race, Ferrari had been aiming for at least 2nd place in qualifying, with the optimism that they would have a chance to take pole position. However, the reality on the track told a different story. The SF25 car they were using did not seem to be able to keep up with the speed of the other teams, especially McLaren, who were dominating the session. This raised big questions within the team, considering they had been working hard on car development since the beginning of the season. Lewis Hamilton, in his first season with Ferrari after moving from Mercedes, admitted that adapting to the SF25 car was still a challenge for him. The 7-time world champion felt that there were many technical aspects that needed to be ironed out to get back on track. I felt quite good in qualifying, but clearly we are still far from expectations. There is a lot we need to analyze and learn to understand why we are almost a second behind McLaren, said Hamilton after the qualifying session. He also stressed that the team will have to work harder to improve their performance if they want to compete at the front again. Meanwhile, Charles Leclerc seemed to be more critical of his team's performance. The Monaco racer admitted that he was surprised by Ferrari's poor performance in this qualifying session. According to him, since the morning practice, his car did not show the same performance as the day before. I think we know the cause, but we have to analyze it further. This result is very disappointing. Even in the worst-case scenario, I did not imagine to be in 7th and 8th position, said Leclerc with a disappointed tone. This situation is certainly a wake-up call for Ferrari to do a thorough evaluation before the race. If they do not find a solution to the problem immediately, their chances of competing at the front will be even smaller. As their main rivals continue to develop and improve their performance, Ferrari will have to work extra hard if they do not want to be left behind in the title race this season. One factor that could change the dynamics of tomorrow's race is the weather. According to the latest forecast, rain is expected to fall during the race, which has the potential to affect team strategy and driver performance on track. In such conditions, each team must prepare thoroughly, both in terms of pit stop strategy, tire selection and car setup, in order to remain competitive on a wet and slippery track. For Ferrari, these conditions could be a great opportunity to make up for their unsatisfactory qualifying results. With more difficult grip and a greater chance of mistakes from the competition, rain could be an advantage for teams that are able to adapt quickly. On the other hand, not all drivers are comfortable racing in these conditions. Lewis Hamilton, who has just joined Ferrari and will be driving the SF25 in rain for the first time, expressed his concerns. I don't even know the car settings in the wet, so I have a lot to learn and prepare for tonight, said Hamilton. Adapting the car and tires in the wet will be a challenge in itself, especially considering how important control and traction are on a slippery track. Meanwhile, the battle at the front is expected to be fierce. The McLaren duo, who have secured the top two positions, will have to be prepared for pressure from Max Verstappen, who will start the race from third place. Verstappen is known as one of the best drivers in wet conditions, with his ability to control the car on slippery tracks and his ability to find the best line in uncertain conditions. With his speed and aggression, Verstappen remains a major threat to McLaren, especially if their strategy does not go according to plan. Outside of the competition between the top three teams, rain can also open up opportunities for other teams to surprise. Teams such as Aston Martin and Mercedes have the potential to take advantage of mistakes made by their competitors in front of them to steal important positions. Furthermore, the courage and experience of the drivers in dealing with extreme conditions can be the deciding factor in what is expected to be a dramatic race. With all these variables, tomorrow's race will certainly present its own challenges for each team and driver. Quick adaptation to changing weather conditions and the right strategy will be key to achieving maximum results on a wet track. All eyes will be on the drivers to see how they handle these difficult conditions, who can take advantage of opportunities, and who will suffer the consequences of small mistakes that can be fatal on a slippery track. In addition to Ferrari, Red Bull also experienced some high drama in this qualifying session. The team, known as one of the dominant forces in Formula One, faced a tough challenge, especially with Liam Lawson's performance not as expected. The young New Zealander was expected to be competitive and deliver promising results. But reality told a different story. Lawson was forced to exit the qualifying session early after failing to show his best performance and was eliminated from Q1. The mistake he made in the last corner was the main factor that caused him to lose a lot of valuable time. It was a crucial moment considering the competitive nature of the track, where a small time difference can make all the difference in grid position. As a result, Lawson had to settle for a poor starting position, which was certainly not the result either he or the team wanted. This situation further complicated his position within the Red Bull team, especially when compared to the performance of teammate Yuki Tsunoda. In contrast to Lawson, Tsunoda put in an impressive qualifying performance to secure fifth place on the grid. This result further cements his status as a rider who is more consistent in delivering positive results for the team. The pressure is on for Lawson. Not only does he have to prove himself capable of competing at the highest level, but he also has to face the fact that Red Bull has high expectations for each of its riders. If he continues to struggle, his future with the team could be in doubt. With the competition on the grid so tight and the demands on performance so high, Lawson will need to find a way to bounce back quickly if he is to maintain his chances of competing in the world of Formula One. Qualifying in Australia provided an early glimpse of the 2025 season. McLaren appear to have a very competitive package, while Ferrari and Red Bull have a lot of work to do to catch up. With wet weather in the forecast, tomorrow's race could be an opportunity for certain teams to surprise their opponents. Will Ferrari be able to recover and correct their mistakes? Can McLaren maintain their dominance in the first race of the season? Let us know your thoughts.